right, it's day 19 of my new father fish setup, dirted tank. And I wanted to take this video now because I'm not sure if I'm going to have another free-floating algae bloom like I just got over. I wanted to insert some pictures of it, but my computer audio isn't working, and I'm not good at editing video on my phone. So I'm going to try and do this in one take. It's just an update to show what's going on with the tank. I've made some changes. There's now some anacris floating on the top. I removed the marsh pennywort that I was experimenting with. I put that in my outdoor tubs. It was just getting kind of messy. I also removed a money tree that was in here because the leaves were getting too much light, and they were sort of starting to wilt. So that's down on the side. And I added water flow. That is a tiny little filter that's rated for 3 gallons. It came with a small 1.5 gallon kit that someone gave me. And I had this green pea soup algae outbreak. And that's not surprising because this is an eastern window. And it's going to have to find some sort of balance. So I decided to add some water circulation. The only pump that I have is in use right now in another tank, so all I could find was this little filter, and it's got no media in it. I just threw some small cuttings in there because I could. There's a tiny little area in there. It might be 3 inches deep, so there's not much room for plant roots. I can't find any larger opening that could lead to the impeller, so I don't think I have to worry about roots getting in there. I covered the intake on the bottom with pantyhose, and that's, oops, see what happens when I try and focus the camera. And that's pretty typical when you have fry or shrimp, other small things in the tank, little baby shrimp that you don't want to get sucked up into your filter. Put a sponge or a piece of pantyhose on it. And what I like about the pantyhose is it's a nice open weave. It doesn't impede the flow very much, and it's not trapping very much because I'm not trying to mechanically filter. Although when it started, the algae started to bloom, the water started to turn green. I initially stopped turning the light on in the afternoons. I didn't turn it on until it was evening. It didn't seem to help. I think that I exacerbated the problem by putting a lot of water from my outdoor tubs in here to feed the fish, as I talked about in my first video. And the water in my outdoor tubs is green. And I could see that I was pouring some algae in the tank, but I didn't worry about it. I put it in all my other tanks, but they're established. And one of them gets more window light than this does from a southern window. And I didn't have any issues in those tanks, but this one's not established yet. So I put as many plants in here as I could find to soak up some of the nutrients in the water that the algae was feeding on. I'm not sure where they came from because I've just been feeding live foods. At any rate, I also I had put a house plant in here that from another tank that had a pretty extensive root system. Those cuttings all have roots already. They're from another tank. And just tried to help clear the water that way. But what ended up actually doing it was initially, I didn't have a pantyhose sock. I bought that actually and cut it up. All I had in the house was regular socks, and I put a part of a dress sock over there. Not very thick, not cotton, just a fairly thin polyester dress sock, and it ended up capturing a whole lot of that algae. And after a couple of days, I rinsed it out into a container, and the container was full of bright green water. So I don't know if the algae bloom is going to come back. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this update, because things may change and then I'll be able to show how that happens. I'm not really interested in continuing to pull algae out of the water using a filter, though. This tank, like I said, is just going to have to find some balance, and hopefully the dwarf Sagittaria. I've added more plants, maybe 4 or 5 more plants in here. You know, they're just still kind of adapting. I haven't had a lot of algae, the larger algae growing on the plants. It's really been the free-floating stuff. What else can I tell you? I've done 3 water changes since I set this up. I did one of them a couple of days ago when the algae was really bad, but I wasn't sure how to handle that, because sometimes when you have an algae bloom or a bacteria bloom, if you do a water change, you actually end up introducing nutrients that make it worse. But that didn't seem to happen, so we'll see. I may get another one. I don't know. So the other difference is that I took out the 2 adult males that were in here. They were really stressed, and I have a feeling that maybe because there are so many females in here that are just too small to breed. I also have a juvenile male, the largest in here, that colored up. And he started sort of seeming a little stressed. So I put him in. They all just went back in the fraternity tank that they came out of. I found someone who wants some Endlers, so I'm going to be giving the ones that are in the fraternity tank away, as well as a couple of larger females I have. I've been keeping them separated by sex, and eventually I'm just going to end up with this 1 colony tank. I think it's better to have like-sized fish in here, so it'll take a while before they develop. And I can't think of anything else, so thank you for watching.